Let's create this section of your design, both for the web and the mobile view. So let's start with the navbar. We have a logo by the left, and we have these buttons by the right. And then the padding on the navbar for the web is more than that of the mobile view. So let's go to our code. So start by creating a div with the background primary, and then I'll give it a padding in the X direction of 4. Now to make the padding on the web or large screens to be different, the way Tailwind works, it's anything without a breakpoint is taken as a default. So LG stands for breakpoint for large screens, which of course you can change what that size is. So anything after the LG with a semicolon is going to be only visible on large screens. So I'll make the padding on large screens to be more. So in here, I'll create a div and use the grid. So I want to have to grid, and in here, I want to have the image, which is the logo. So logo.svg, that's the name of the logo. And then the other side, I want to have a button. So I'm going to use flex because we have two things in here, button and this other one. So I'll use a flex to get them to stay side by side, and I'll justify them to the end. And just type a couple of text in here and see what we have. So we have this, the logo, and then the text is here. We need more padding in the Y direction. So what do we have? The grid. I'll put some padding here in the Y direction. I'll just make it 8. I'll reduce my logo, it looks too big, so I'll give it a class. Put the width, scale of 32. So in here I need to create a button, so let me just call it button, and background secondary. Now for hover, when you hover the button, I will type hover and then bg secondary hover. Now this is just the name of the color we defined while we are configuring Tailwind. So you can see here. Okay, it has nothing to do with the fact that we put hover here. We can as well say bg accent here. So let's do that and see what it looks like. Post a shelter, save. So we have a button. When we hover, it turns yellow because accent was a yellow color. So let's finish up with the button. I'll just remove this. Secondary hover, make it rounded. Then I'll add some padding in the X direction. Let's say 4, padding in the Y to make the text to be white. Save, let's see what we have. Okay, cool. So the next thing we need is what do we need actually? Where's my design? Okay, so we need this, the icon and the sign in /register. So I'll just create a div. I'll just flex those guys. Items end, and then image, user icon with xpg. Let me show that's the name. Okay, user icon, and then I have my p tag. I'll just type sign register. I know that's meant to be white. But instead of putting the text white here, I could put it in their parent folder and they will just inherit the styles from that. So I see. Okay. So my image is not showing up. Oops. Okay. Let's see what we have so far. Let's put the margin there. Margin left, I could say 2 or 3. Let's go with 2. Okay, we could add more. So 4, that should work. Okay, so I want to add my hamburger menu. So I'll put an A tag, just put hash. Then in here I have my image hamburger menu, because that's the name. That SVG. Okay, so let's see that. So we want this to be hidden in large screen, so we're just going to put a class there. Let's put a class in the whole link and say LG colon hidden. So that should be hidden on large screens, but that should be visible on other screens. So I need to hide this on large screen, the button. So let's head back there. Where do we have the button? The way Tailwind works is that I'll put the default value without a breakpoint, which is going to be hidden. And then on large screens, I'll tell it to be visible again, but I'll use this inline to make that visible again on large screens. So that won't be visible on large screen, on smaller screens, but when you get on large screen, it becomes visible. Now I want this to come to the top. Let's see here. Come to the top in mobile view. So let's see. Here I'll put a breakpoint so that on large screen it flexes, and then on other screens this comes on top. Okay. So on large screens it's by the side, then it comes on top. So we're gonna go over to this section, which has the image at the back, and then some text, and then a form. I'm going to simply move all of this to a new file called Navbar. So I'll just cover this Navbar. Then in here I'll just put PHP block of code, and then I'll say include PHP. Now this is looking for a file inside the includes folder, so I'll go to the includes folder and create a new file called Navbar. In there I'll paste this code, so that should still work. So let's go ahead and make the home search section. So let's call it home search, and I'll just put a comment here that says search ends. So add a div. And in there I'll give it a BG of, let's say, ascent for now, and I'll give it a padding in the y direction of 20. In here I'm going to put a div with a text white, and put a text, bold text, font bold, and I want a very large text, so 4L, and then I'll just paste this code from here right at the text. And the other one, let me just get it from the XD, copy this, I'll paste it in the code. I want it to be bold actually, so and I want it to be a small text, so text SN. So let's see how that looks like for now. Okay, so I need this to be at the center, so we can say text center. So that should centralize that. Good. So we're going to add a background at the back of this div. So a background image in this div. So I'll remove the BG accent. We don't need that. Either we're adding the style attributes. And say background image. And the URL. And then image. The name of the image is header image.png. Let's close that off. Let's save and see how that looks. Okay, so let's just keep adding. Let's add the form. So I have my form. I'll give it a background of white, beige white. Then the background has an opacity, put it 25. And in there, I'll add another div, which is going to have the white background. And give it a padding in the X direction of 4. Give it a padding in the Y of 2. Just have random text inside. I'll go back to the form itself and add a padding of, let's say, 2 all around. So that gives us this cool effect. It needs to be rounded. Same thing with this other one, needs to be rounded. So let's see. Okay, good. So I want to have the form at the middle, so I'll just let me create a div and then put the form inside. I'll say div text center. I'll give it a full width, and then I'll have the div inside. Oops. And then I think I should give maybe a margin or padding at the bottom of this, just to push the form a little bit downwards. So let's go ahead and create the form input field. So I'll put a span, and in the span I'll give it an, just do it this way. I'll give it a class of flex. Then give it a padding of 3. Then I'll put my image, because it has this image house SVG. Let me just be sure that's the name. Refresh that. Okay, so I have the placeholder here. So I'll go impute and give it a placeholder of black. I'll give it some, let's give it some padding around. Then I want to remove the focus. Put it up by doing focus offline. Let's say none. Okay, type text. Let me go ahead and add the placeholder. Let's see what that looks like. So let's go back to our code. So change the placeholder to, let's say, gray 700. I'll just play around with the padding, make the padding white to be 2, give more padding in the X direction. And then here, let me just add a div. Let me just use a span. Then the class of the span, I want it to be hidden by default but visible on large screen, so LG inline. Then I give it a border of gray, let's say 500, and then a border in the right direction of 2 with 2. Then I give it just give it a margin on the right. And inside the span, I'll just add a space. Now there's another way you could do this using divide. I just don't want to use that divide in Tailwind. Let's go back. I'll add the flex here. Actually, I want it to be flex on large screen. Then let's say item center. Okay, so let's add the other input. So just copy this and paste, change this to location, then change this to location icon. Okay, so we have that. And then next is the sale. So for that, I'll be using a custom CSS to do that. So I'll just copy this for now, paste and save. I'll change this to sale. It's actually a checkbox, so I'll just get rid of this. Make this sale. And then see in here, I'll put a div. Let's call it text gray. I think that'll be too light, 400. And just give it a padding of 2. Then in here, let's put a span and say for sale. And put another span here and say for rent. In between, I'll have my checkbox. Do we want to do this? Okay, let me just save this for now. I'll just copy. I already had the checkbox done somewhere, so I copy and paste this here. So this just adds the checkbox and then a label wrapper. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, then I'm going to, actually we don't need this line at the end. Just gotta get rid of that line. Okay, so I'm going to make a custom CSS. I'll create a new file here. Call it custom CSS. I'm just gonna paste the custom code for the switch. Okay, so here we go. Just pasted that, and then let's preview. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I need to link that to. Let's go here. Just copy this. And paste and change this to custom. For search button, and just copy this, paste here. We don't need all of this inside the span. Just put a button type of submit. I just call it search. Then for the class, I'll give it a background of secondary, and a hover will be BG secondary hover. And I'll give it some white text, make it rounded. Then I want it to flex because I'm gonna add the image inside here. And just go ahead and add the image. Image is called search icon SVG. See what that looks like. Okay, so let's just add some padding. I'll make this look bigger. Give it a class. No need to do that. Just give it a padding on the left. And then we need to give padding to the buttons. PY. Let's just play around with this. Okay. I'll add a full width here. Then on large screens, I'll make the width to be auto. Then I'll go all the way up. Why do we have this? Okay. So on mobile screens that is stretched. So I need to put that at the center. So we'll see justify center. I should put it at the center. My form. Actually need my form to be on large screens. I need that to be inline block. And width should be auto. by default. Okay, that's centered. Okay, so let me go to the div. This one, I'll just put BG cover, then BG no repeat. This is just to make sure that this picture is positioned properly. Okay, then I'm gonna add BG right. Then on large screens, of course, I want the PX to be 16. Let me save. Okay, so we've positioned our image properly. Let me just add a little bit of, I think I'll just leave it that way. Okay, so that works just fine. So what we need to add this portion is, at first I'm just going to copy all of this, so cut it out. I'll create a new file and include, I'll call it home underscore search.php. Paste that there in my index. I just put a PHP block there and say include home underscore search.php. Close that properly. So that should bring about no change, because we just, okay, we made a mistake there. Home search, we forgot the P. Okay, so that's fixed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add that little thing underneath. It's pointing downwards. So add a div and just give the div a full width. Make it flex because I want to align in the center. I will say justify center. And I'll give it a relative position because I want to style it myself, or rather I want to be able to move the whole div up. Then just let me use a span, and then I'll give it a class of rounded full, and then I'll give it the same width and height so that it becomes a circle, and then just give it a gray background. Let's go with 400. Give it a text secondary. Then I also want to align it to the center, so flex items, center, justify, center. In here, I just type a letter V. Let's preview that and see what it looks like. Okay, so we have that here. So all I need to do is just give this a style of, let's put the top. Let's just say to rem. Shape that, move it up. Okay, perfect. So we have this done already. So what next? Okay, so we just need to put this at the center, which should be pretty easy. So I'll put a div, and then okay, this time let me use the divide I was talking about. So divide, what divide does is it creates like a HR for you. I want it to be on the horizontal, so that's why I have a white there. Then the color divide secondary hover is the color I want to use. Then I want the width to be auto. Okay, let's just give it a padding, bottom padding. So what the divide will do is, if I have, let's say I have a p tag, I have a first p tag, I have a second p tag, or anything actually. So it's going to add divisions to like horizontal lines in between. I found this to be actually very helpful. Now all of this you can find it in the documentation of Tailwind. So just add a p tag. I want this text to be big. For Excel, font bold, text gray, 700. Explore properties. And then for the other one, I could actually just put the text gray in the parent div. I'll do that. So I'll just say text SM. I'll move this from here to here. And I'll just copy this, paste it here. Okay, we have that. Let's put them at the center. I think I'll make this an inline. Oops, I needed a space here. Make this an inline block. Okay, cool. And then we need that to be at the center. Just wrap this into center. Okay, and okay, let me have a parent div that houses you. Then just give you a background. A gray background. Let's say light gray. I'm gonna move all of you in here. See what that looks like. Great. So in the next video, we'll be working on how to make our cards. If you found this video helpful in any way, do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified when I release new videos on this series. See you in the next video.